All right.
What do I ask now?
Whatever you want. Start from the top down.
What comes to your mind when you think about growing up in your hometown?
Gotta say it louder though.
What comes to mind when you think about growing up in your hometown?
Good old Grass Valley, California. Yeah, what do I think there? Everything. I guess the best thing is we used to, when I was your age, we were always playing cowboys and Indians and running around. 'Cause right behind my house was a forest, and everything was in there. And God, we used to climb up the trees, and I probably told you this once before. We would climb the pine trees, get right up to the very top, where the top's small,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd get up there and get it moving with the wind, back and forth, and be screaming like we're on a bronco or something like that. And one time I was doing that, and the limb broke, and I fell all the way down the whole length of that tree. I was trying to grab on the branches, and just clear to the bottom. Well, then most of those trees, about the last 10 feet, there's no branches. And that's what hurts, that sudden stop when you hit the dirt. And by the time I got to the bottom, my shirt was ripped off, my pants were ripped, I was covered with that pitch.
How old were you?
Oh, I thought I was going to die.
How old were you?
It was probably about 11.
It's like your age.
11 or 12. And then the worst part was when I started healing, I'm not kidding you, I looked like a total scab. My legs, my arms, my chest, my back, I was one big scab. And I'm telling you, I hurt. I didn't want to go to school because I looked so bad. Boy, I looked like I was in an auto accident. Oh gosh, yeah.
How long did you live there?
Well, I was born there in Nevada City, which is 4 miles away, because they didn't have a hospital in Grass Valley, and lived there till I was 16. Then we moved to Gunnison, Colorado.
You didn't know he was from California, did you? No.
And I had a good time there as a kid. I wish kids could do that now. I mean, we would go fishing. My dad would take me fishing all the time. And our neighbors, we would all, like in the wintertime, everybody would go out and spray water on our hillside because it was pretty steep. And they hang their porch lights out, and they would have coffee, donuts, hot chocolate, you name it. And all the kids in the neighborhood we would ice, what do you call it, sled down those hills, or that one hill. And one time, one of those great big road graders come to clean the snow off, and as he come over the hill, it was pure ice because we had sprayed it with the hose, and down it came, and it was going sideways and turning, and as it's coming down, it's taking fences out. I don't know how much damage it did.
Geez.
And that was the last time they ever come down our road again. They refused to come down it ever again because of that.
Crazy.
But that was it. Well, we just did all kinds of fun stuff. And then there was Lake Olympia. Remember me talking about Lake Olympia? Where we used to catch frogs?
Oh, kind of. Let's scoot up a little bit.
But they had
1 second.
And then the Lake Olympia, that was about 2 miles away, 2.5 miles away. And us kids, we get on our bikes and bike down there. And this lake was probably, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe about the size of 3 football fields put together. And then right in the middle of it was a dance hall. And it was up on stilts, and they had a nice wooden floor, but they used it mostly for roller skating, and we'd roller skate down in there and all that. And they had these pontoon boats that you'd pedal, and all around this lake was cattails, and there was bullfrogs. Man, they were that big. and there was a cafe there, and the guy used to pay us 50 cents for a pair of frog legs. And so as kids, we used to get in those boats. If you were going to go get frogs, he wouldn't charge you. It was like 50 cents an hour or something like that to use those boats. And we used to take rubber bands and tie them together. And then we'd take either a BB gun or we'd take, what do you call those nails?
Don't get any ideas, Sage.
Yeah, what do you call them? The little staples like. We'd put those on and we'd have those, we could shoot like this here. And you'd go in those cattails and those big bullfrogs, all you'd see is their eyeballs above the water. They'd be looking at you, and you'd aim. You'd be about from here to you, about 5 or 6 feet away, because they think you can't see them in those cattails, and we'd pull back that old thing, and shoot them, and that staple would hit them, and they'd jump right at you out of the water, and then we'd get them and take them to this guy, and he'd give us 50 cents for frog legs. And,
back then, that was lots of money.
oh yeah, we'd get $4 or $5, and there would be like maybe 3 or 4 of us kids doing it.
Jeez.
And we used to swim all the time in there. It had floating docks about every 50 yards that you could swim to. And we'd swim in those all the time. And that's where we used to catch snapping turtles. And about 20 feet deep. And we used to catch those snapping turtles. And I don't know if you know what a M3 or a cherry bomb that are pretty strong,
Here, Sage, I want to hear this one.
Anyway, we catch those snapping turtles because, boy, one of them got on my finger one day and I could not get it off. It latched on me, and I was probably about 10 or 12. And I can remember screaming my heart out. And one of the lifeguards, or I think she was a lifeguard, was a woman. She tried getting it off, and she ended up taking a bobby pin and was breaking its mouth off
Jeez.
to get it off my finger. And from then on, man, I hated snapping turtles. So what we used to do, we would catch them, and they're about this big, and we'd get those cherry bombs or M3s they were called. Boy, if they went off in your hand, they'd blow your fingers off. That's how strong they were. And we would flip their head, and they'd put their head back in their shell, and we'd take that cherry bomb and put down in there so they couldn't get their head back out. And then we'd go out there and out in one of those rafts, and we'd all have those goggles so you could look down. And we'd all be sitting there waiting, and we'd light that fuse and put it in the water, and they just automatically just swim for the bottom. And we'd be watching, and they'd just be swimming and going down, and pretty soon that thing would go boom! And it would that shell would just blow apart like this here. And all the guts and everything would come up, and the smoke would come bubbling up. We'd be sitting there going, man, this is great! Couldn't believe it. And nothing we used to do.
You would have loved that, huh?
You probably will. We used to catch those bullfrogs and get the weeds. Little weeds that has little joints in them, and you break them off. And we used to take those and cut up their rear end.
Oh, jeez.
And then blow them up. And you'd blow them up about that big around. And you'd pull the straw out and put them in the water, and they'd try to swim, and they couldn't because they were full of air. And then all at once, lots of times the air would come out real slow, and they'd be all right. Next time it would just come gushing out, and they looked like a jet plane going on the water. And my mom used to say, someday, if you're reincarnated, you're going to come back as a frog or a snapping turtle. And some kid's gonna put a straw up your nose and do the same thing to you or blow you apart. Oh gosh.
Would have been fun being a kid back then, huh?
Mm-hmm. Living in a small town, it's got advantages. I mean, you wouldn't dare do that now. And I think of Gunnison at the time, they only had one stoplight. I think they're up to about 10 now.
Grandma grew up in Gunnison, Colorado.
But You could Mom sent Karen to the store once for some thread, and she was 4 years old. So, what's your mom's name? I don't know, just Mom. So they tried to think who was twins in the area.
Why would that just dawned on me, that said St. Mark's.
I don't know, don't worry about it. Anyway, he just pretty much, and after his stories, I wasn't going to tell you some of my bad things I did.
Wow.
They weren't
Whatever
that
comes to
bad.
mind.
Our neighbor, his name was Ron Schaefer. To this day, we're still friends. And from 2 years old on up. And he was the instigator. I never thought about doing these things. But I helped him with it. He made mud pies in his mom's car tank once.
You know what a mud
Get
pie is?
bored. You get bored, you know?
Take mud.
And we was always trying to, we just put dirt in there, and we were always trying to make money. So we'd pull a wagon, I'd either get in the box or Ron would. We'd knock on the door and ask people if they wanted to hear our birds sing. If they said yeah, we'd say, well, for a penny or some fruit. Well, and then whoever was in the box would go tweet, tweet, tweet. Then we'd go to the next house. We were always looking how to make money. But we did.
Where does he live now?
In Grand Junction. In
Oh,
fact,
not
he
too
just
far.
sent me a gift last week, 2 weeks.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Isn't he the one that
He's the one.
What?
Is that what your
ate
mom
your
was?
cookies or something?
Yeah. We'd get 2 squares of graham cracker cookies. And that had to last us, so I'd make mud pies and sprinkle it on, and he'd eat them for me.
The mud cookies.
We had lots of fun. Just a small town, you can get away with a lot more than you can in a big town.
Maybe that's why he turned into what he did.
No, he was gay from the time he was born.
He's
because
gay, but
when
really
he
a
was-
nice guy.
When he was 2 over 3, we'd play house, and I'd say, Ron, you have to be the husband. Nope, unless I can be the mom or the dog, I'm going home. And that was 3 years,
Little,
4
huh?
years old. He'd go home.
That's funny.
But he's an awesome guy. He's been with his partner probably 20 years.
Should we do next question? Here, hold on.